the last part of your project, you have to classify your animal. So remember, it's an animal. Here we go. Does it have a backbone? If your animal has a backbone, then it's a vertebrate. So you would have to tell me it's a vertebrate because it has a backbone. If it doesn't have a backbone, then it's an invertebrate. Most people choose a vertebrate, so I'm going to run through these first. Is it a fish? Then we would call it a Pisces. And fish have things like gills and scales. That's what makes them a fish, and fins. Different from all of these. Amphibians are things like frogs. So they have moist skin. They have lungs, but they can also breathe through their skin. Aves are birds, so they have feathers and beaks, and they have lungs, but they lay eggs which are brittle. Amphibians lay eggs which are gel-like. Is yours a reptile? If it's a reptile, it has leathery skin and lays leathery eggs. It also has lungs. This Pisces, amphibians, and reptiles are cold-blooded. Birds are warm-blooded. Mammals have hair, give birth to live young, feed their babies milk. They are warm-blooded. They have lungs. Okay, so you would have to tell me it's an animal, it's a vertebrate, and then whichever one of these, and what traits, what structures does yours specifically have that makes it a reptile? If you've picked an invertebrate, they don't have a backbone. So worms don't have a backbone. Insects don't have a backbone. These don't have legs. These have 3 pairs of legs. Maybe you've drawn a spider. Spiders have 4 pairs of legs. They have multiple eyes. You could also pick something like a sponge or a starfish, okay? If you pick something different that doesn't fit in any of these categories, please let me know and I'll help you out. After you're done your classification, you have to write a paragraph about a symbiosis, a relationship that your animal has with something else in the food web. I'm going to run through the different types. Competition, maybe your species competes with another species that live in that area. So for instance, snakes and birds both eat frogs, so they're competing for the frog. Predation, the predator is the thing that eats the prey. Okay, the predator does the killing, the prey is either harmed or consumed, killed. Mutualism, this is a relationship where one animal and another animal that are very, very different benefit from acting together. So the best example of that is a bee goes on the flower to get the nectar, so that's food, basically to make its honey, but the bee helps out the flower because the flower gets its pollen carried to a different flower, so it gets fertilized. So both of them benefit. That's why it's called mutualism. Parasitism, a parasite and the host. So a tapeworm is the parasite, and it might live in your cat. Or a flea is the parasite, and it might live on your dog. Okay, parasites benefit. The host is harmed, but the parasite doesn't want to kill the host because otherwise the parasite would have to find another one. So maybe your animal has a parasite, okay? But remember, it needs to be in your food web. So be careful which of these you pick. Commensalism, one species benefits and the other is not affected. These are not very common. Best example is the bird is benefiting because it's making a nest in the tree, but the tree is not affected at all. So remember, you have to try and pick one of these. It's made up. You get to make it up, but it has to be with something that's already in your food web.